So, did you know that Frankie introduced the concept of the Centaur to One Piece in a very funny way? Because in chapter 372, as he is fighting Nero of the CP9, he says, "Brother, have you ever heard of the monster they call a Centaur?" Nero responds as he envisions the creature, "That's the one with the body of a horse, right? What about it?" And that is when Frankie transforms into a centaur. So not only did he establish the concept, he actually becomes one in a way. And this is the setup for one of his strongest moves in the pre-time skip called Frankie Ultimate Hammer. So the technique is called Frankie Centaur, and it's set up for Frankie Ultimate Hammer, right? Okay, so from this point forward, we actually start to get real centaurs in the series in a lot of different ways, which is odd. All of them technically Devil Fruit related, but still. Okay, so the next time that we see a centaur is actually in Punk Hazard, as multiple denizens of Punk Hazard have been turned into centaurs thanks to Law's Op Fruit abilities. And they are centaurs of a variety of different types. Oddly, one of them has been captured by Big Mom somehow and now resides in her book Eternally Ageless thanks to Mondor. So that kind of sucks for that guy. But continuing on, we were introduced to more centaurs once the Wano arc kicked off, because there are a few Smile users who have become centaurs upon eating their respective fruits, namely Speed, whom is a traditional centaur in that she is a horse. She's even an archer too, which is pretty cool, like the symbol of Sagittarius, and Fuga, Yamato's friend, whom is an artificial ancient giant, or I assume is artificial based off of the weird backstory of the numbers being associated with Vegapunk. So I'm not sure if he's technically artificial or not. That never gets cleared up. But anyway, he ate a Smile fruit, and now he too is a horse Smile in being a centaur. And he is the only number who ate a Smile fruit. Oddly, he's pretty close to being one of the first giants in the series to have a Doa fruit, but that honor does technically belong to Sanwan Wolf. However, he is the first giant in the series to eat a Zoan fruit, because we wouldn't get another Zoan fruit user that was a giant until way into Elbaf. But continuing on, we get another interesting centaur in the Wano arc, because Jack the Drought, one of the calamities of the Beast Pirates, is actually a centaur in his hyperstate, as he is the user of the elephant fruit agent type model mammoth. So that's pretty interesting and pretty freakish, because he is the first actual Zoan to turn into a centaur in the series, which is kind of disgusting in hindsight, but it's pretty cool. But then, moving forward into the future and going to Egghead, we come across one of the 5 elders, whom just so happens to be a centaur, in Ethan Baron V. Nosturo, who, thanks to his Bakutsu fruit, can turn into a weird skeletal horse centaur, which is kind of weird. And he is abnormally powerful, with the power of cryokinesis for some reason, which is odd, but moving on. Now we hit Elbaf. In Elbaf, coming from Egghead, and spoilers for Elbaf, we are introduced to another celestial dragon in the form of Holy Knight Saint Remo Shifu Killingham, whom has the ability of the Dragon Fruit mythical type model Kirin. And in using this Devil Fruit, he too can become a weird centaur horse guy. As apparently in One Piece, the Kirin, which is traditionally a weird chimeric creature with dragon and horse tendencies, usually is a weird dragon horse, apparently. And in one of his many hybrid states, because he has a few, he's a bit of an odd Zoan, but in one of his many hybrid states, he turns into a weird centaur, having the top half of a man and the bottom half of a horse. So yeah, pretty freaky, pretty interesting though. And it's funny to think all of this started with Frankie. And that just goes to show it pays to pay attention when a One Piece character offhandedly mentions a mythical creature from our real world, because most likely they are going to appear in the series in one fashion or another later on. And in talking about Remo Shifu Killingham, this has been coming up a lot because many of his sleep types created by his Doa fruit could indeed be more Zoan type Doa fruits that we will see in the future, most likely. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. And it's already come true because he was the one who introduced us to the Nidhogg. And again, spoils for Elbaf, but as it turns out, Loki has the ability of the Dragon Fruit mythical type model Nidhogg. So you really get your returns pretty quick with Killingham. That just means that most likely other unique creatures created by his fruit most likely are Doa fruit powers somewhere out there in the world, which is pretty interesting. So what started with a funny joke ends up being a very interesting rule of thumb to keep a lookout for when reading the series. But with that being said, if you are enjoying the video so far, click the like button. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition to, if you could, hit the hype button because it really does help. And with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What's